Coverage continues right now with insight and analysis from a law expert and attorney, Scott Mongillo of the Bland Richter Law Firm. Scott, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Well, let's start with the review of last week. Of course, Judge Newman had been listening to testimony with the jury not present in the courtroom, deciding whether, in fact, he would allow some evidence to be admitted into court in front of the jury. Those were issues of financial crimes. And today, a very big decision from Judge Newman, he deciding that the financial crimes would be admissible. Judge Newman said, quote, that the crimes are so intimately connected, it's vital for context and essential for telling the complete story. So I guess the big question to those of us paying attention to this, Scott, is this a big win for the state?
This is a huge win for the state, and it was so important. I was in the courtroom this morning for the in-camera hearing. I can't emphasize enough how important this is for the state, because now all these financial crimes are going to be heard before the jury. It was in-camera hearing. That means the jury wasn't present, and now they get to hear about the financial crimes. I graduated from the Citadel. We have an honor code. You don't lie, cheat, or steal. This jury of 12 people are going to hear about Alec Murdaugh lying to his partners and his clients, stealing from his partners and clients, and cheating his clients and partners out of millions and millions of dollars.
A big credibility issue for this man who is in a community of his neighbors and peers and family members. But what does this mean for the defense in terms of them being able to reduce or mitigate some of the harm that this will cause for Alec Murdaugh in the murder trial?
Right, that's a great question. So it started right after the judge ruled. Team Murdaugh gave the state a motion in limine, and that's a motion that asked the judge to give an instruction before any of this testimony comes into evidence. The judge asked both sides to get together, try to do a joint motion, the instruction they want the judge to give. If they can't, then the judge will select one or the other or create his own. But this instruction will tell the jurors what they're to do with this type of evidence. The other thing the defense is going to need to do, and this is important, they're going to need to coach Alec Murdaugh up on how he reacts when this testimony comes in. If you'll remember, in the first week, he was very emotional, cried. Now he has to show this jury that he doesn't agree with this evidence. So if I was the defense counsel, what I would have my client do, Alec Murdaugh, at the defense table, I'd have him have his glasses on, be leaning in, have a pen, be taking notes, every now and then talk to the attorneys, Dick and Jim Griffith, about the case, showing the jury that he doesn't agree with what's happening, that he doesn't agree with those witnesses on the stand.
And Scott, does that make a difference? I mean, you talk about coaching the defendant up. Does that make a difference? Does that perhaps impress upon his guilt or innocence when the jury is watching him, all of those very small nuances of his behavior in the courtroom? Absolutely,
and Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin are great lawyers. I guarantee they've talked about this. There's 24 eyes on Alec Murdaugh constantly. There's 12 jurors. They're always watching him. One of those jurors is always watching what he does. He's the star of this show. He's the reason they're missing work and missing time from their family. They're focused on Alec Murdaugh, so he needs to be ready when these witnesses come up there and try to kill him with 1,000 cuts.
So we know, of course, financial crimes are admissible, that information. Does this also mean the character evidence also? Alec Murdaugh was seen or portrayed by the defense as a loving father, a caring father, a pillar in the community. What about the issues of his character?
Absolutely, and let me, excuse me for reading, but I want to get this right, because Judge Newman's going to issue a written order tonight, but he ruled from the bench. And what he said is, motive is not a necessary element of murder. The state must prove malice, and the state can use motive to prove malice. So remember the state's theory that he killed his wife and son to gain sympathy and time to cover up the financial crimes. Well, that's malice. You can't kill people to cover your tracks. So now the jury gets to hear about his motive, what he did, what these financial crimes were, and again, going back to where we started, about his lying, cheating, and stealing.
All right. Well, Scott Mongillo, thank you so much for your information. We look forward to speaking with you again. We, of course, will continue to watch what's happening in the courtroom, and most especially to watch Alec Murdaugh's behavior as you described. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.